Union of European Federalists. Hello and welcome to the UEF podcast. This is the video and audio podcast series of the Union of European Federalists. The UEF is an European NGO and is a powerful key when it comes to bridging the gap between EU politics and EU citizens. Therefore, the UEF, of course, was and is very active right in the heart of the EU's so far biggest citizen participation process, the Conference on the Future of Europe. It took place in the year between April 21 and Europe Day, being 9th of May 22. Within that year and via different channels like an online portal and citizen panels, Europeans could speak up and define in what kind of Europe they actually want to live in. 19,000 ideas have been submitted during that year, and many sessions with European parliamentarians, the EU Commission, and citizens have taken place, all of which ended in 49 concrete proposals for a better Europe. And a lot of concrete and differentiated more ideas, of course. The topic of today's podcast episode focuses on a huge step towards more Europe in this citizens' sense. We will talk about the brand new treaty change petition campaign. This petition is not only following the Conference on the Future of Europe, but also addressing one of the most urgent issues that came up considering the implementation of citizens' wishes into reality, because many of those great ideas simply need the existing treaties to be changed to be able to come true. I'm very happy to have three CoFoE experts, CoFoE being the short for Conference on the Future of Europe, here with me, two so-called citizens ambassadors, namely Laura Maria Cinquini and Huub Verhoeven, as well as UEF's Vice President Luisa Drumellini. A warm welcome to all of you right now. Hello. I would like to start with introducing Luisa Drumellini first. You graduated in philosophy, wrote your thesis in political philosophy, and you are with the European Federalist movement since the 1980s. And over the years have been involved in the Italian as well as the European organization. You also have been responsible, for example, for training and educating young people. And you have edited several Federalist publications and collaborate with the review Il Federalista. Currently, you are National Secretary of the European Federalist Movement, the MFE, since 2017, and since 2021, the UEF Vice President. And my first question to you is to just please give us an overview of the petition campaign that we are talking about today.
Thanks a lot. So we start from the fact that this campaign is in continuity with what we have done during the CoFoE. We were among the civil society representatives inside the plenary and working groups, and worked also on the ground transmitting citizens' demands through the platform. So we feel very much, of course, involved in and contributed to the debate and the drafting of the conclusions of the CoFoE. Now it is becoming increasingly clear that 1 year after Russia's aggression against Ukraine, the course of war politics has changed radically, and that Europeans must equip themselves to cope with it. In short, there is an urgent need for the European Union to be endowed with competencies, decision-making powers, and resources that are indispensable to be able to guarantee our security and also to have a weighty role on the international stage, and to have also effective policies in the field of migration, economics, energy, technology, industry, and health. This was, as you were mentioning, at the heart of the conference on the future of Europe, and the citizens addressed all these issues and also identified a number of points on which it is essential to reform the treaties in order to make the European Union more capable of action and more democratic in its political institutional functioning, so as to establish a direct relationship with European citizens on the model that characterizes any democratic government. Now, while the European Parliament is drafting proposals to change the treaties as emerged from the conference, we must all demand as citizens, this is our thought, citizens and as Europeans as well, that the Council, which means the national governments, do not block this process on which our future really depends. That is why we, as European Federalists, gathered also with the ambassadors of the conference of the citizens panels. We asked for the cooperation with the Spinelli Group in the European Parliament, and we asked everyone to sign and circulate this petition to the Council of the European Union, asking that the Council respects the will of the citizens and the work of the conference on the future of Union.
Thank you very much for this first introduction into the petition campaign. And I'd like to introduce the first of our two citizens ambassadors that challenged the Council on the opening of a convention for treaty reform. Laura Cinquini, you hold a bachelor's degree in cultural anthropology from the University of Bologna and work on your master's degree right now, and you've done an Erasmus internship in Germany. You also participated to the fourth citizen panel, like your colleague Hoop here, and you were there asked to elaborate proposals about the migration topic. You became ambassador of this panel, continued to work on the migration topic with other citizens, with trade unionists, with representatives of civil society, members of national parliaments, and of the three European institutions. And you yourself, you say this was a life-changing experience. You're still working with your fellow ambassadors to keep defending and advancing the proposals you have made on several topics. So here comes my first question to you. How would you describe the petition campaign to, let's say, your neighbor at home? What is it all about? What are main aims of the petitions? And are there perhaps some concrete issues that it addresses that also give a reason why everyone should really participate and support it and sign it?
Oh, well, in theory, the best and shortest way to summarize the campaign is by explaining its main aims, which are supporting the EU Parliament in its action to reform the treaties and asking for a proper follow-up to the conference proposals. In practice, to my neighbor, this makes not much sense, nor it has much appeal. He probably knows nothing of the extraordinary democratic exercise that was the CoFoE. And like many other EU citizens, he feels probably the EU far away. Maybe he thinks that what happens at the EU level doesn't really concern his many daily life problems. That's why I'd explain to him the meaning and the importance of our campaign, starting from a different kind of speech. I say that the EU is more near to his daily life experience than he thinks. There is a lack of communication regarding what the EU does, but if he makes the effort, he can see that he has the opportunity to easily travel, study, and work in 27 different countries, thanks to Europe. That many projects in his country are made thanks to European programs and funds, that the EU helped his country during hard times like the pandemic, and that the EU makes the international position of his country stronger when facing crises triggered by war situations or financial earthquake. So the EU is real and is near, as well as it was the conference, the largest democratic exercise that has never been organized. The point is that what the conference did can get lost and forgotten with time, together with the will to reform the Europe and make it better. Indeed, the Europe already does a lot, but it surely can be improved. Today, we are facing problems that need a coordinated action within the EU member states. For example, the migration issue and the presence of unfair social conditions throughout Europe. So the European Union, as it is today, cannot properly deal with these problems due to its way of working, its structure. So my dear neighbor, believe me when I say that there is really the need to reform the treaties in order to get a better EU and benefit from it.
Thank you so much. I think you convinced your neighbor. Huub Verhoeven, let's come to you. You're from the Netherlands, also a citizens ambassador, and you finished your bachelor in IT in the field of cybersecurity, very interesting, and infrastructure. You're currently also working in that field as a security consultant. You also have been ambassador, as I said before, at the Citizens Panel 4 on the conference. So this was also about migration. And you said yourself that the experience will never be forgotten, that it is a heartfelt goal for you that the conference also will not be forgotten out there, especially when it comes to getting answers to each and every proposal that was made. And so I'm asking you, from your point of view, why is this petition urgently needed right now in time of history? And what is your citizens ambassador's role in this process?
Well, yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay. Well, in my opinion, right now would be a good moment because at the 2nd of December we had a feedback event during the conference where the institutions told us what they had done with our proposals. As a response to those answers, we sent 2 open letters to the Council and the Commission with regards to the fact that we do not feel heard and that they were cherry picking our proposals. And we announced this letter in a proper way. We made sure that the politicians who we were sending them to knew that the letter was coming. However, we did not get a response or an improper one at all. And one of the remarks we made in this letter was that there's no concrete backup on treaty change, and well, it's not communicated to us or it's not clear. And we feel that right now we've given them time to respond to those letters. And since we do not get a response, we feel that we need to put more pressure on these institutions, because the conference has been a huge endeavor. Well, it was the first time for something of this size with this goal in mind, and we feel that it shouldn't be just left like that. Okay, I'm gonna re-say that. But so CoFoE was a great step forward in terms of deliberative democracy, and to make sure that we as a union on the field, we need to keep up the momentum. And as an ambassador, we feel obligated to make sure the voices of the other panelists shouldn't fade into the background and they get a proper response and the attention that it deserves, even if it requires political ambition.
Thank you very much. That was also very precise, and we feel with you right now. Let's come back to Lisa Trumelini. Why a petition to the Council in this moment in history, also considered now from a UEF's position? What makes it special? Why is now the right moment?
Well, while the European Parliament is working to draft a proposal for reforms of the treaty, so it's taking up the follow-up of the conference. Especially the Council is trying to stop the whole process. So there are some specific reasons why it is the right moment to make the citizens' voice heard. The first one is to denounce this attempt by the Council, because they listed all the requests that needed a treaty reform very precisely, and now they think that they can hide these crucial steps as if they were not real. The second one is to make the support of citizens visible, because one of the excuses that is used to say we cannot enter into this process of treaty change is because citizens wouldn't understand, wouldn't be in favor, wouldn't agree. This is not true. And we want to show that there is awareness of what is going on and that there is support for this process. And the third one is really that we need dramatically to overcome the intergovernmental block, because they, if we continue to discuss the future of the European Union inside the intergovernmental institutions, then we won't be able to exit from this vicious circle. The conference exactly showed that when you involve citizens, other both political and social actors, then you have a lot of consensus and consciousness on the need of a reform. And this is why we need a convention as well, because this is a way to overcome the fact that the reforms or the issue of changing the EU or of the future of EU remains into the intergovernmental institutions like the Council or the European Council.
Very interesting. Just to think about our visionary neighbor that we try to explain what is going on here. Perhaps could you give us some concrete examples or some major next steps that should be taken when it comes to more European integration, to strengthening the European cohesion, to deepening the European responsibilities, so that in the end, Europe is empowered to really act on the challenges they and we are facing today. So do you have any ideas and concrete pictures in mind, perhaps?
Yeah, very much on the competencies, first of all, because on many cases, the EU has no direct competence on subjects that need European answers, need European solutions, but cannot be dealt with by the European Commission as such. So there is a political process that always empower the nation states for many competencies that, on the contrary, and I think to migration, which is very much at stake in the moment, I think to some health issues, but we enormously think to foreign and security policy, which is enormous from this point of view, and defense policy as well, which is very much linked, but also on economic ground. We need an industrial policies, we need infrastructure decided and implemented with policies implemented at European level. And this all means that we need a decision-making system which is supranational in these competencies, because we need democratic procedures, which means empower the European Parliament as representative of the citizens and work what is called the legislative procedure, the ordinary legislative procedure, which means that the decisions are taken by majority in the European Parliament and the Council representing the states. But those two subjects together find a consensus and agreement by majority, and not as it is now on all these competencies which are not European, only through unanimity and giving such a space to veto power in this sense. The last point we must always highlight is the need to be autonomous at European level on resources. When you have political choices to be done at European level, when you want to implement directly certain policies at European level, you need to be autonomous in the resources field and not to depend on contribution by the state as it is now. Now we have a situation where the European Parliament is not empowered of the fiscal capacity, of the fiscal power to decide on resources, how to raise them, and is involved only at the second stage also in how to use them, but only inside a framework which is strictly decided by the nation state, by the member states. And this makes creates a contradiction, also thinking that we are into a monetary union, which is federal, on the contrary, and then needs also federal mechanisms at European level to work properly.
Thank you very much for these insights. Coming back to Laura Cinquini, you yourself, you're a citizens ambassador. What is your feeling? What kind of contribution can you as an ambassador give to the campaign? And also, how did the cooperation happen between the Union of European Federalists and the ambassadors? Would you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, starting from the first question, I am a conference ambassador. That means that I am a citizen who took part in this process. And that's my contribute and our contribute as ambassadors, because we can bring the citizens' perspective into this campaign. Because along the conference, we felt this lack of communication regarding the European way of working, the European policies, and so on. So we know how much people struggle to understand when try to understand the Europe and how it's working and what's going on. So we know that it's hard, but we know also that it's needed to reach awareness on these topics. So we can bring our own experience on that and try to build up a better campaign on this point, on the communicative point. And regarding our collaboration with the Federalist, well, of course, it started during the conference because they were, of course, interested in this kind of process, and they really were involved, as we were, of course. And both our energies, positive energies, have done a lot during the conference. For example, the Federalists supported our open letters to the councils and the commission, the letters we sent on the 2nd of December. And we exchanged views, we supported each other during the conference, which was really good, I think, because this is the kind of democracy we want, a democracy which different voices can meet and work together, even if they came from different positions, right? So we had this wonderful experience during the conference, and when it came out the idea of this campaign, we had no doubt about the fact that we would be happy to participate and try to continue what we started during the conference.
Thank you very much. Let's come to Huub Verhoeven. You also said that the experience of the conference changed your view, also, I guess, over the EU and its institutions. So you might have learned a lot. And my question is, how exactly was your view changed? What happened with you during the process? And the second part of the question is, what of that influenced your decision to support the Union of European Federalists initiative here?
So, well, first of all, I wasn't that much into politics before I took part in this conference. I made a well-thought decision about voting each year, for each time we had to vote, but that was about it. And working with especially Parliament has shown us that these politicians, a lot of them really are trying to get the best decisions for citizens, and they were working happily with us, and well, that really changed my view on politics, and also working with them, getting to know the game, so to say. That helped me a lot, also understand politics a bit better, and it showed me that politics is a long game, with small steps usually, and a healthy dose of optimism, maybe a bit more. So yeah, that really changed my view on the EU, and yes, and also with regards to the Federalists, I've noticed how much they care about our proposals and how much they'd like to see that our voices are heard, in terms of showing that the conference will not be a one-time thing, but can also happen in the future with a proper response from the institutions. So, no.
Thank you for that assessment and your insight. I think we all might be able to feel with you very much. We are coming actually already to our final conclusions, to the summary and your insights, and also your main messages that you would like to give to our listeners. I would like to start with Laura. What are your personal hopes of the outcome of the conference, but also, of course, of this petition. So what is your main message also that you would like to give to our listeners? What should they take away? What should they do?
Well, of course, my hope for the conference is that at least some proposals are, delivered in a way. So this is my hope for the conference. I want it to be known by people. I want it to, to not get forgotten, because it was really something extraordinary, not ordinary. So this is my hope for the conference, and that's why I'm doing all of this. Regarding the petition and our campaign, I hope it will have a positive influence on the upcoming European elections, because they can change a lot the European Union. And I think that people should be aware of it, should be aware both of the situation as it is now at the European level, and as it could be in the future if they try to understand what's going on now, and what kind of positive vibes are going around Europe, and can really shape a better Europe in the future. So let's see.
Any direct last words to our listeners? What should they do? Should they jump up and go and sign the petition, or is there any wish of participation from your side?
Yes, of course, they can directly go and support our campaign, our petition, and I hope they will find time also for just give a look to our proposals, because I think they would find them interesting, and maybe they could find some topics that they daily discuss with each other, because we are citizens. So many of us were far away from politics and pretty much concerned about daily life problems. So we know the common perspective on the things, on the life problems. So I think that, my last message is this one. Please, if you have time, try to give a look to what was the conference, and you would be surprised by it for sure. And please try also to open to this campaign and to, in general, the European politics, because it's important. It's not something far away, as I already said.
Thank you very much. Huub, let's come to you. Your personal wishes for an outcome of the conference and of the petition, and your most important message to our listeners, please.
Well, my personal wish is to see that the institutions give a proper response to all the proposals that were made during CoFoE, as well as to see that the politicians of the institutions actually give the political ambition that some of the proposals like treaty change require, because they really do deserve this. Personally, I always try to pick the hardest task first whenever I do something, so that the other stuff I have to do, it's more easy always. I hope that with this campaign we can make sure that the treaty change is a step closer to being a reality, and therefore that the institutions will have an easier time implementing the rest of our proposals. I think it's also important that all the EU citizens know about CoFoE, what it was, what it can be, because we noticed a lack of media coverage throughout the conference itself. And we think that all EU citizens should know that the voices of people, randomly selected people, have been asked and listened to, but also that these voices weren't listened to by everybody that was supposed to listen to them. And this petition will help make these people listen to the voices. Therefore, please do support the campaign and the petition, and tell your neighbors about the campaign and CoFoE.
Thank you very much. Louisa, what is your main message to the listeners of this episode of the UEF podcast series? What would you like them to know, to keep in mind, to do?
Well, first of all, I take the occasion to thank Laura and Hugh, and if I pronounce correctly, sorry, and also all the other ambassadors, because their message on the 2 of December was very powerful, and they were very inspiring in sending the letter to the Council. Now, why? Because this is to show that as Europeans, we cannot afford to stop this process that we started with the conference, because we are in a dramatic moment of change in history. And if we really do not take the occasion to upgrade our institutions, to adapt our institutions, to improve and strengthen our institutions and democracy, we really run the risk of losing what are at the heart of our values. We are a bastion of democracy in this moment as Europeans, and we must be really aware of that and of the responsibility that we have in order to be able to establish a better world. Without Europeans, what we see is dramatic, really dramatic. So this is the message. The petition is not just a small step. It's a part of a strong process that I really ask you to support by signing the petition, spreading it, circulating it, and also feel involved, as Laura and Hub were saying, in this process, which is very much for us citizens and for the interest of us and the next generations as well.
Thank you very much, all three of you, for your precious time and energy and activities, and I wish you and us all the best. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Nana.
Union of European Federalists.